Yo, what is going on, guys? Episode 60 of Many and 2 of Many with Holden here. Good way to celebrate episode 60. We've got Holden on. For those of you who have never listened or tuned in before, first off, go back and listen to episodes 1 through 4. That's going to give you guys a really good understanding of how we are here today, how the businesses have all evolved and gotten to this point. We own a couple different businesses, right? So we've got Grizzly Fitness, which is 6 gym locations. We've got Priority Fitness, which does gym equipment install, servicing, and moves. And then we've got, we own some real estate as well. So we're in the real estate game, which our gyms generally occupy. So we own 3 of our properties that our gyms are in, and we actually own the property that we're sitting in right now for the podcast studio. The podcast studio is far from complete, but hopefully here in the next coming months, we're going to start working on this project. There's a reason you guys only see this one wall with absolutely no decorations on it. We painted this one wall just to give it a little bit better background, so FYI. The reason so for those of you on the podcast listening to this episode at a later date, we are recording on Saturday the 20th, and this will release on Tuesday. We are doing what's called, that's what I'm calling it right now, is the Holden mini-series. For those of you live, this is kind of the message that I want to get out there for everybody. And for those of you on the podcast, we are Facebook Live right now on my personal page and Holden's personal page. So a little bit different of an intro here. So about 6-ish weeks ago, Holden and I sat down. Long story short, we decided it was time to focus on Holden's health and fitness journey. Holden actually gave me a really good shout out and himself a really good shout out on Facebook the other day. For some reason, I wasn't able to reshare it. We tried everything. We're not Facebook guys, but he said it was public. I went to share it. It kept telling me maybe the post has been deleted. I don't know. I'm not a technical guy. So I wanted to talk to both of our audiences a little bit first. We're not going to dive into Holden's story too much here for the intro. If you have no idea what we're talking about, go back and listen to the first episode with Holden and I. Are you able to look up what episode that is real quick? Or no? No chance. All of our phones are here. Of course, you can't look it up. So Holden's here. We're going to be doing a mini series. Once a month, we're going to have Holden come in. We're going to do a podcast like this. We are going to talk about his challenges. And for those of you listening, he started at 482 pounds. So big boy, and we're working on getting him down to where he wants to be. It's all about him. So this mini series is going to be an episode a month. We're going to talk about the current struggles, the challenges, the ups, the downs, the changes you see in your body, and just relate that back to like everybody else. You know, we want everybody to understand Holden's journey. We want everybody to understand that it's not easy, but if you put your mind to it, you can accomplish great things. I also want to make sure that we're bringing not just Holden, but other people like Holden on to get their perspective. If I just sit here and hound you guys and tell you, be the best you and be 1% better and eat better food and work out more, I want you guys to see firsthand, you know, what that mentality is. So again, for those of you on live, the Grizzly Life Podcast releases 2 episodes a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. Sometimes we have guests on, sometimes it's just me talking. I talk about things that are going on in our business. I talk about things that are going on in our business that can relate back to your personal life. I talk about my own personal habits and changes and things that I've researched and implemented in my day-to-day. I talk about mentality. I talk about, you know, really just being the best version of yourself. So I encourage you guys to listen to the podcast, of course, but at the very least, especially for, you know, Holden's listeners and my listeners on live, I want you guys to really hear Holden's story because it's going to inspire a lot of people. It fits directly with the Grizzly Life mentality. Holden and I talk every day, several times a day. As soon as we wake up and right before we go to bed, I mean, we're basically talking all day long and just holding each other accountable, making each other better, daily check-ins, right? So this is what we do, and so it's been great this far. I'm thankful for you coming to me 6 weeks ago. Even though you're, you know, from your shoes, you're probably like, dude, I'm thankful for you. But
absolutely, bro.
Not even for this aspect of it, the content. Like I genuinely, I was actually doing this thing the other day, and I was talking to ChatGPT about some questions that, like, was trying to uncover some deep stuff. And I'm going to talk about this on my next episode. But what I did was I asked ChatGPT, I said, ask me 10 questions for me to learn more about myself, right? And they're tough questions. Like, they're like legacy questions. They're like, So the one question it was like, what would you do if money, status, followers, if none of that stuff mattered, what would you still be doing? And
that's a hard question.
My answer was I'd still be helping people. Like that's what satisfies me. Like that's what gives me joy. That's what makes me feel good. That's why I do the podcast. That's why we do fitness centers. The money is a byproduct. I don't really care for people to know me all that much. Like I like to be under the radar. Like a lot of people don't even know that I own the gyms, right? I'll be working out and they're like, I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah. The owner.
Right. But my answer was that I would still be helping people. And like, that's what brings me joy. So that's why I'm saying I'm thankful for having you come to me 6 weeks ago. I've always cared about you. I know I said that in the last episode, but for our other listeners, I'm just extremely grateful that you came here. You made the change. You wanted to make the change, and we open your mind to like new things. So thank you for that. And I've always been on your side, so
appreciate that, bro. For real.
Yeah. So let's, we'll get into the podcast here a little bit. We'll let the live listeners listen for a little bit, and then we're going to cut you guys off because we want you to go listen to the whole episode. So yeah, we'll dive right into it. So
first off, I just want to say, like, I know you're thanking me, but bro, like, it should be me thanking you. Like, I know I'm putting in the work, but like you pushing me every day. Like, I'm the kind of person that needs that little extra drive and motivation. So you've really helped give me the confidence that I need, man. I'm forever grateful for that. Like I'm, like. It's just a patient, thing that I had to do, and I'm a very impatient person. But if I can just be consistent every single day and like keep pushing and be 1% better every day, like, I don't give a shit if I'm benching 200 pounds and the next day I'm benching 205. Like, as long as I was better than yesterday, like, I don't give a fuck, So I really appreciate you, and Trent, like giving me that mentality and that mindset, because there have already been times where I'm like, fuck, I'm sore, maybe I shouldn't do this, and then. You guys like remind me, like, you've come this far. Why would you stop now? So I'm the kind of person that if I do all this work, I sure as fuck ain't starting over. So, I'm going to just keep grinding, man. Like, that's what it is. You got to have grit. You got to grind. So I appreciate you, bro.
I hope you understand that now that you like got me involved, this is more of like a lifetime thing.
Yeah, so 100%. Yeah,
I don't like letting people off the hook. I don't like letting people like if I get you down, and I don't want to say if I'm on your team and you get down to your desired weight, and we don't talk for a year or two, and I see you get big again, like you're gonna hear it from me. Like, like don't expect me just to sit under the shade. So
yeah, bro. I knew as soon as I left your office, and then like I was like, I've kind of planted the seeds to seal my fate. And then when I did episode 1, I was like, and it was out there, I was like, well, yeah, no fucking going back now. So
and that's such a big reason why we're doing this too. Like, sure, this is good content, this is good motivation for everybody else, but yeah, I think the power in this is for you. You've now told other people what you're doing. So when you're about to make a bad decision or you're debating making a bad decision, you're like, well, I'm going to have to tell everybody the next episode. Yeah. Like, I've already signed up for this, right? Yeah. Like, and so we're not going to let you off. So, yeah, I'm extremely, extremely grateful, thankful. I know that you're in the same boat. I hear it from you damn near every day. And so, yeah, bro. Let's get into it. Or we could probably just start crying and hugging each other. They'd probably enjoy that
probably,
too.
Yeah. I would say everybody would enjoy that shit. So,
so let's dive into last episode. We started your journey last episode. Yeah. You started at 482 pounds.
Yep.
I think by the time of that episode, we were already down.
I was 462 last episode.
So we were at 462 last episode. And so we had talked a couple weeks before that first episode. Then I said, hey, why don't we have you on? And so we went from 482 down to 462 in the first couple weeks. Mm-hmm. That episode you hopped on, you're at 462. We talked about some changes that you were making, some habits you were changing, and just kind of like the beginning first couple weeks of struggle. We don't need to dive all into that. Again, if you're listening, go back and listen to episode 1. So after that episode or during that episode, we kind of set some new goals, right? Some new marks. Let's start off with that. Sure. You went from 462. Do you remember what date that was? What day that episode was? If anybody knows, I feel like it'd be you.
Yeah, no, bro. I'd have to look. I think I have it on my phone in the calendar.
It would have been like the last week or something in August, I think.
Yeah, I know for sure it was. It was roughly at least 3 weeks ago. Yeah. I'd say on the spot. So
let's tell them what you weighed in this morning.
Sure.
Let's tell them about the walking goal again, and we can we can bring that whole I'll what are you weighing today?
This morning I woke up and I had a Ricky Bobby. I pissed excellence, and then I hopped on the scale and I was 430.8 pounds.
430.8. Congratulations.
Appreciate you, brother.
That's a huge step in the right direction. So it's 52 pounds.
Yes, sir. And I just wanted to say that my goal for next podcast was to be, this podcast technically, I wanted to be 440 pounds.
So we beat
Crushed
that goal.
It by 10, man.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Congratulations. And that's just a starting point, right?
Appreciate you, bro.
We had also, so for those of you listening, Holden was texting me, or we had gone for a walk like the first week after we did our meeting in person. We said, you know what, it's time to focus on your health. Then we went for a walk, the two of us, and I didn't know what I was getting into. I'm walking much slower, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But we're walking basically like this big block, and Holden, we get to the spot, and he's like, "Do you mind if we just take a second? Like, can we just stop?" I
had spaghetti legs, bro. They were folding bad.
so we had taken a rest and we had just talked, and I think you kind of felt bad. You're like, well, whatever.
I felt embarrassed.
Yeah,
too.
right.
I could handle the feeling bad part, but it's like, dude, we literally went around a fucking block.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I'll stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was a big block. I'll give it to you. It wasn't just a block.
But still,
for those of you in the city.
I'm out here pouring sweat, you know what I mean? And just gas for air, and you're just like hippie, you know what I mean? Like fucking, I'm all great, you know what I mean? And I'm just out of breath, like, hey bro, you mind? Real quick. And first off, I just want to say thank you, for just being no judgment. You're just like, dude, absolutely, take a minute, and you were so quick to make me feel not judged and make me feel not in an uncomfortable place. You started making a joke right away, you broke that ice, and I'm really grateful for you for that, bro. So that's something I think about, and then that was, I think, what really, that drive home, I was just ashamed, I was just embarrassed. I was kind of started having that self-doubt of can I really do this kind of thing? But then I took it as a challenge, where I was like, well, that's when we brainstormed, right? How about, we walk a mile, right? I think 3 days from now, I think Monday or Tuesday, that's when it was supposed to be, that I walked a mile.
So let's dive into that. So you had messaged me, and I don't know how long after that walk, but what did you say? You said,
Maya said 6 months, and you said, fuck that, 6 weeks. And I was like, well, fuck me. I guess we are doing 6 weeks.
Yeah. So you messaged me on Snapchat and you go, my goal is to walk 1 mile straight without stopping in 6 months. And I was like, whoa, we're not waiting 6 months to walk a mile, man.
And looking back at it, obviously my mindset's different, but I think I'd probably have to be a lot bigger, if my goal was to walk a mile in 6 months.
Yeah.
That's a little far-fetched of a goal. I definitely think 6 weeks was more realistic. So yeah, I think part of me was still a little bit of afraid and didn't believe in myself to the point that I do right now.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's why I set such a far out goal.
Yeah.
But you kind of brought me back to earth, and we're like, dude, no, we're gonna fucking make this goal way more attainable, way more realistic, and we're gonna crush it.
I did want to go faster than 6 weeks, but I was like, we need to work on your it's mainly the mental strength, and just in figuring that out. So anyways, so now let's tell everybody your walking accomplishments this month alone.
Sure.
I mean, shit, it was 2 weeks ago already that you were messaging me, and so we had a goal that literally a couple days from now was going to be 1 mile straight without walking. It was going to be your test day.
Yeah.
We said, screw that, and let's hear about what you've accomplished.
Yeah. So that story kind of started, I was taking a walk with my fiance Carly and our 2 dogs. And we live in a little subdivision, and you go around the little subdivision, it's 0.65, but then if you go a longer way, it's 0.85, something like that. It's almost a mile. And I was thinking, I was like, we always go this way. I was like, I wonder what the other way is. And I asked, my fiance, and she's like, well, it's more of an incline. It's, it's going to be hard. And I thought, fuck that. I like to compete low key, so I was just like, fuck it, let's try it. She's like, are you sure? I was like, now I'm thinking in my head, maybe she doesn't believe me. I'm going to show her, you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did that, and I didn't stop, right? And I calculated it, and it was 0.85. And I was like, dude, that's almost a mile. And I was like, I didn't stop. So the next day I woke up with my piss hot and I like snapped you and I was like, dude, I'm gonna walk a mile without stopping. Hopped on the tread, did a mile, kept going, did another mile, kept going, and I did 2.15 miles.
And the only reason you stopped is because my damn treadmills at this
Yeah,
gym.
dude, what the hell? No.
They went into cool down mode.
Yeah.
So, because you were like, I thought you were going to go for 3, and who knows how far you would have gone. It's really that, like I said, it's that mental strength. It's that
sure,
I can do it, and I'm doing it now, and like that empowerment of that feeling. So that achievement, all of that stuff goes into it. So we absolutely crushed our goal, weeks ahead of it, and the amount of achievement that's already happened in the first 6 weeks is insane.
Yeah.
So we're down
50.
I was going to say, we said what we're officially at. So we weighed in today, and we weighed in at 430. We're down 52 pounds, which is amazing. We won't set your next goals until the end, because I want the live people to have to hop on and see what the hell Holden wants to do. So I don't want to give them all the good stuff. You can give them a couple more minutes, and then you can kind of cut off whenever it makes sense for you. So let's talk about what we've changed in the last 3-4 weeks, or just in general. I mean, we can recap some of the stuff that we've touched on last episode as well.
Sure.
So what do you think what's the biggest change that you've made that is like, however you want to look at that, I didn't think I could do it, I did it, and now it's paying dividends.
Yeah.
Like, what is if there's one thing that you're like, you know what, this has changed my life right now?
Dude, it's definitely my eating habits. Like, I used to just, like, I could, you could do that work in the gym, right? But me personally, I think, like, that's 10%, right? The other 90%, like, you got to take care of your body and what you put into it, like, after the gym, because you want all that work to be for something. I haven't had a soda since, our meeting, back in the beginning of August.
You had one that day?
Huh?
You had one that day?
No. Well, I think maybe I did on the way here. I was like, well, fuck it, might be the last one. So I think it was August 4th or August 6th, I think was when we got together and we sat down.
And then there was a couple weeks until we got to business, right?
For sure. Yeah. But, I kind of weaned myself off. Like, I mean, technically, like, I would do like sparkling ice with, no caffeine, no sugar. And then I kind of got down to, you told me Liquid Death, which I had a Liquid Death. I was at a family gathering and everybody else had soda, beer, whatever. And I brought a Liquid Death, and man, dude, I haven't had a soda in like a month and a half. And I was like, this is the best thing I've ever drank in my life. It kind of gave me like that, wow, like I've not had a soda in this long. And it wasn't really carbonated either, but I still loved the taste, and I'm not one to have that every day. But, so yeah, to answer your question, I think just, my eating is a lot better. I haven't had candy, I haven't had soda, no sugar. I eat more protein now, like, eggs, sausage, bacon. I'll have like some Greek yogurt. I'll have my oats. I'll have some protein powder. I'll mix that together. And when I eat that, like, it tastes almost like an ice cream sundae, So not having those sweets in so long and then trying these new foods and new things, like, that are healthier, I definitely think, like, that kind of gives you, like, the, wow, like, you can't really tell a difference because it's been so long. So I definitely think that is something that is huge, because like I would, from my old job, I would go straight to Quick Trip, or I would go, through some kind of drive-through or whatever, and then I would eat dinner, on top of, just piling on all that food. So, yeah, definitely my eating habits and, just being in the gym. I do at least 30 minutes of cardio every day, and 30 minutes will take me up to a mile. Sometimes like 25 minutes will take me up to a mile, depending on like the incline and speed. But, yeah, just being consistent in the gym and, whatever you put into your body is like what's, most important. And definitely like the Whoop has helped me, see my recovery, see my strain and those kind of things. So
we'll dive into the Whoop a little bit too. I assume one of the things would also be a lot of like that staying busy, right? Like,
yeah,
keeping your mind busy, because a lot of that time when you're eating is you're bored.
Yes.
You want to just, you're sitting at home, not getting steps in.
Yeah.
Now, like, you're forcing yourself to get out, go for a walk, spend time with maybe Carly more than you were before, right? Yep. Or like whatever, spending time in the gym, waking up on time, right? Like these. So it's not just one thing. I know that there's all of these things that are playing a big factor into this, but I think for you, staying busy has really helped because I want to talk about your cravings too, and
For
all that
sure.
stuff. But
Yeah.
how do you feel like staying busy has really changed that stuff as well? You know what I mean?
I'll put it, yeah. So, little example for that, like yesterday, like I'm gonna say this right now: nobody out pizzas the Hut, right? I love Pizza Hut, right? Nobody out pizzas the Hut, and they have like these new $5 things, and like I was just sitting on the couch at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, and I was like getting locked in, and I was looking at that food, and I was like, fuck, man, like that looks so good, But like that's exactly what I'm saying, like if I don't do shit, I'm just gonna be like, food's an option, I could just eat. So I definitely think just keeping your mind active, man, whether it's reading, whether it's walking, being with the dog, throwing a ball around, just doing something, like you gotta train your brain and almost distract it, to like just focus on other shit and put your energy somewhere else so you can better yourself every day.
Yeah, for sure. So what have your cravings been like?
So I recently started taking like apple cider vinegar like gummies, and I don't take them every day. But one thing I do is like I'll take them like before I go to bed, because I used to like really binge eat like some kind of candy like towards the end of the night. And so that's kind of one thing, like I'll take it on like a Monday or a Friday, just probably like 2 or 3 times a week, if that. And that kind of gives me like the fulfillment and like the need of like, some kind of, like chewy substance, right? I kind of look at it almost like, a smoker who's trying to quit, like you like wean yourself off with these kind of things.
Yeah.
I definitely think the ACV gummies have given me less cravings. Like, I'll, see somebody, I sent you a picture or a snap video the other day at my new job, and all these, things of candy were around. I was like, fucking shit looks delicious, but, fuck that. I got some goals, I want to accomplish. I even received some, but I gave it to somebody else because I really I look back like, okay, well, it's been, X amount of days. Like, I don't want to start all over, OSHA, somebody got hurt, started all over kind of thing.
Right.
So that's where I'm at. So yeah, definitely just eating better, being consistent, and, just kind of like expanding your mind on certain things, like I said, reading, some kind of meditation, whatever, man.
Well, let's talk about that stuff. Let's talk about like these one-off habits that we've been working on and creating. So like this week alone, so I know, and I don't want to touch base on like me. I don't want to talk really about like my night. I'm going to talk about it in my next episode, so I don't need to dive too deep. But I sent you a good list of things that like were my habits of the week, right?
Yeah.
So touch base on any of those that you're doing personally and like how that affected you just this week alone.
Sure. Having one alarm, like that shit sucked. Like I am, like my fiance will, like Carly, she will tell you, like she is so tired. Well, she's grateful now. I only hear it once because ours go off at the same time now. And the Whoop has definitely helped too. That kind of gives you that little buzz on your body, like, hey, wake up, which I love. But I set my phone like to a point to where I have to get up out of bed to go turn it off. Like I'm essentially like setting myself up so, I have to be better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired because I was the kind of person that would hit snooze. Like, I would set my alarm for, if I worked at 7 o'clock, for example, like I'd set it for 5:50, like, all right, I'm somewhat up, but then snooze, 6:30, like, all right, well, let's get ready now.
Yeah.
So definitely just, getting up with that one alarm, and then like, that's it, getting my gym bag ready, the night before, so I'm not scrambling about, trying to do all that other stuff, just kind of like prioritizing like these things of what I need, meal planning throughout the whole week, going grocery shopping once a month, reading these books, expanding my mind. David Goggins was someone you suggested to me, and like I've read 2 of his books already. And
I was going to ask, how many books have you gotten so far?
2. I've read 2 of David Goggins' books, and it's very inspirational just because I think him and I like share some like childhood, like experience and, being overweight and stuff. I think for him being 300 pounds and becoming a Navy SEAL and, doing all these marathons and, running with broken feet or broken legs, like he didn't give a fuck, so he talks a lot about, being miserable, but, if you can be miserable, if you kind of like defeat like the pain itself, like it's just a mentality, like if you push yourself every single day and you're consistent, like you'll get to where you want to be. You just have to work for it.
How many books have you read in the last 10 years?
Oh man, bro, put me on the spot, dude. Well,
Like, are you like naturally a reader? Like, have you read stuff in the past?
No. Like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Does that count?
In high school?
Yeah.
So, how
bro.
many books have you read since you've been out of high school?
Definitely the two David Goggins.
Right. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so. And what I'm trying to say is, like, in some of my messages, once you start like really focusing on yourself, like everything else in life is better, right?
For sure,
so like
bro.
you started putting your health first. Now you're like, you just wanted to read naturally. Now you're doing these other habits of like the no snoozing your alarm. And I'm not telling you have to do any of these things. Like, I'm not being like, dude, you should only wake. Like, maybe I give you a little bit of like, this is how I like to do it.
Right.
But I'm not telling you that you have to live your life like me. So you adapted the no snoozing, and you're trying to get a regular sleep routine. Now you're reading, which you asked me, hey man, I want to start reading. What books do you recommend? And I'm like, dude, read some David Goggins, right? Like Can't Hurt Me and whatever else.
Yep.
So putting yourself first, you've really, in the last 6-8 weeks, like you've made more progress on yourself, not even health wise, but like everything else, like your mental, your physical like all these things have been dramatically increased over the last 6-8 weeks just because you've decided to put yourself first.
Right.
Which is just fantastic. So we've got a goal. So one of our goals, our habits this week was no snoozing. One of our other goals and habits this week was 10,000 steps a day, which you've done every day.
Every day. Yep. I'm at, like I said, about 5.5, close to 6 today. And then tomorrow, bro, I'll get 10,000 again, and that'll be 70,000 plus steps for the week.
Yeah. And that's the mindset right there. Like, I will tomorrow. Like, I will not.
Yeah. I don't give a shit if it's football Sunday or not, bro. I'm gonna get up extra early and get these steps in.
Get some steps in. Yeah, halftime, whatever. Well, you have all of the games on apparently, so like there's no halftime probably. It's like, well, now the Jets are back on. And
so for sure.
Getting the steps in is great. No snoozing. Our eating is drastically improved, which we haven't even really. I mean, I personally haven't really dove deep into like what you're eating and what you're not eating. If I hear something that you say, I'll kind of give you like a, hey, you should probably be careful on that, or be careful on this, or it's fine right now, but long term, let's try to phase that out.
Yeah.
I am not making Holden the carnivore. I'm not saying you should go carnivore. I do say high protein, right? Keep your protein high and just eat good food. I know one of the things was you were eating very little calories, and I said, hey, up the calories a little bit. I don't know if that's happened or not, but I was like, if you look at Whoop, you can see how many calories you burn compared to what I do, right? If you go in our little health thing, and you see that my strain is like a 16 and yours is like a 10, but you burned like triple the calories, right? Just because like that's just, it takes more calories for you to work. It takes more energy. You burn more energy.
Shit, for sure.
So yeah. And plus for like long-term health and being like a sustainable diet, it's okay for somebody like you to still be eating 3,500 calories a day. Like, if you're not hungry, you're not hungry. But you know what I mean? Like, don't starve yourself because it's just not going to be sustainable long term.
Exactly. Like I definitely want to listen to my body. Like if I'm hungry, like, okay, like I will eat something, but I'm going to make sure that it's healthy, right? I'm not going to give myself garbage, so then, cause I really feel like if I were to start like eat like some kind of big greasy meal or, something like that, like I feel like I would almost be sick, because my body hasn't had it in 6+ weeks.
Yeah. So that actually does happen. So like with me on carnivore, I don't like have any me on like a very clean diet. I don't take in like any maltodextrin, sucralose, which are like fake sugars, right? Anything that says 0 sugars and then also it says sucralose, it's just fake sugar to make it look like 0 sugar, right? Or same thing with maltodextrin. So since I've done that, I, for example, one night decided to try to drink seltzers instead of like beer. I'm usually just a Busch Light kind of guy. And I was drinking White Claws, and I didn't want to drink White Claws. I didn't want to drink White Claws, but I did that day.
Sure.
And just all the additive and the bullshit flavoring and everything else, the next morning I was literally like sick. Yeah. And like I don't just like, oh, I'm hungover. Like, no, like I was literally like throwing up, like I was bad. Like, so that's one example. There's been other examples where I'm on the road. I eat like 4 burger patties from McDonald's because that's like the only option I had. And I wouldn't do that again. But just that feeling of that fast food versus like, it's okay every now and then, especially on like the car, like, but it,
that compared to like, grass-fed cows.
Yeah,
I get what you're saying for sure.
So it definitely is a thing, but let's talk about the Whoop. We got you the Whoop, which was a whole thing in itself. The whole story of Holden getting the Whoop and took for too long, and then he decides to cancel it. And then, so I'll give a little bit of backstory. I told Holden, I said, you should get the Whoop so then I can like help coach you and I can see like your steps and I can make sure like hold you accountable. Plus, you'll be able to see so many metrics that I think will be good for you. And it's kind of like a video game. You can improve on yourself, and it's fun.
Yeah.
So I sent Holden the link like the same day. I said, hey, here's the link to order your Whoop, because then I get like a free month. And I wasn't trying to be a salesman. I'm just like, if you're going to order one, order it through my link so I get like the 1 month free. Well, then like 3 weeks goes by and he's like, dude, my Whoop's almost here. My Whoop's almost here. Like every day he was telling me that shit for like a week. And it didn't show up. And he goes, hey, dude, my Whoop finally comes tomorrow. Best Buy, like really hooked, Best Buy. I'm like, you bought your Whoop from Best Buy. I said, I'm over here helping you with everything. I gave you my referral link. All you got to do is order the thing. You're like, what? You sent me the link. Let me check. And you're like, oh shit, here it is. Let me order it. Yeah. So then he goes and cancels it from Best Buy when it's going to be here tomorrow. And I'm just like, dude, at this point, just get your Whoop on. And he's like, no. I already canceled it. I ordered it through your link, dude. It'll be here in like 3 days.
Yeah.
Well, hey, however Whoop sends it, they got it to you real quick.
Here we are.
And here we are. So now you've had the Whoop for, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks?
I'd say about 2 weeks.
So what have you noticed? What do you like about it?
I love the strain. Like it tells you your strain. At first, when I was seeing like how many calories I was like really like burning, I was like, that's bullshit. Like there's no way I'm burning over 1,000 calories a day. We're doing all this other shit. But then, like when I kind of picked your brain more, you said, the bigger you are, the more obviously, fat's going to fall off and stuff like that. So I definitely think it's great, man. Like it really, is kind of like, you're able to see like, your progress, your stuff right there. Like if I can speak into like football terms, like it's almost like looking at stats, right? Like how you performed and how you did everything. It'll tell you like, your highest heart rate, your biggest strain, this other stuff. And then I think it is also kind of cool, that you, me, G, Gavino, like we're all in this like group together, we're able to see, who's doing where. And I think it's great because, we can hold everybody accountable.
Yeah.
It's like tracking your sleep, like phenomenal. I think that's like really, really huge. I definitely think it almost kind of gives me that motivation to get to bed sooner, because it says like, hey, like if you go to bed at this time, like your recovery will be, 15% higher than it was yesterday. So like you kind of look at stuff like that and it almost kind of pushes you, it's like a challenge. We're like, you know what, maybe I should do that.
Well, and then it's like it's tracking your steps for you. So then you've got like that as your goal. I'm sure you set that up like there. And yeah, so I like it. I like again, it's like looking at yourself and like how can I improve? And and then when you get really into it, you can start really, really diving in. Like it takes a while for like the metrics to really like level out and like understand who Holden is. It doesn't take that long. It's not like 6 months, but after a month or two of data, it gets pretty good.
Yeah.
So then you can really start diving into, dang, like why, assuming you're not like, drinking is obviously always going to throw it off.
Right.
Late night exercise will throw it off. But you can start taking notes on like what you're doing in a sense. So like, let's say you wake up today and your recovery is really bad or whatever. And you're like, why did I get a 40% recovery? Like what did I do differently? Sure. Then you can think about yesterday and last night. Well, did I go for a walk like right before I went to bed? Like maybe that's why my heart rate was elevated. Or did I eat like a 6-pack of eggs right before I went to bed? That's probably why. So you can start thinking back to like, was it something I ate yesterday? Was it something I did too late in the day? Did I, not do this or not do that? Because there's a lot of things that can affect it. But the nice thing is you can start like seeing that, you can start looking at it yourself and be like, oh shit, like I forgot, like Right.
I think it gives you that, for me, it helps hold me accountable because, you can see, I'll just say my stats, like you're able to see all my stuff and be like, hey, get your ass to bed sooner, or, like, hey, you said you want 10,000 steps, you're at 8,000, go do something, right? Resting heart rate, you know what I mean? Like those kind of things. So I think it definitely gives me like the motivation and like almost like, as a competitor, like I want to beat myself, and like I want to improve, what I did last week. And I think too, it just gives me that accountability, aspect of where, multiple people can see it and just kind of get on my case about it. Like, hey, are you out, messing around doing this or, putting something in your body that you shouldn't be?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What other areas do you want to talk about before we get to goals for next episode?
I think I just want to talk about like, first off, like I just want to thank like everybody's like support. Like, you especially, like I know like I expressed like my gratitude, during the live and everything like that, man. But like I really am, grateful for you, Grizzly Fitness, I wouldn't be able to have this story, like, granted, yes, I had to put the work in, but I wouldn't be able to share my story if you didn't have this kind of podcast, those kind of things. So I'm very grateful for you for that. I'm grateful for, Coach Trend, like coming in every single day with me and, checking in, trying to approach me, just randomly, asked if, I was Holden, and, we just took off from there. And, he told me a little bit about himself. Him and I kind of have a similar story, and I think he's living proof, so he's someone I definitely like look up to. And, if I look at that, like, if this dude can do it, like I can too, and he like really holds me accountable, really helps me out there. I think too, I've been working on like some exposures, like you said, like, just do it, like just put like your stuff out on social media, do whatever, get the following. And I think like the old me is just afraid to put that stuff out there because I'm like, I don't know. I think it's like the accountability thing, because I'm really am going to have to, do this. Like, I don't want to do the walk of shame or, like be like, upset with myself. Like, well, I talked a big game and now I'm not doing it, kind of thing. So, definitely like everyone's like love, support, and, encouragement is huge for me. I definitely think, me putting, like I said, everything out there is like, I like to live a private, like lifestyle, but when it comes to accountability, man, like you got to do whatever you got to do. Like if you really want something, like if you really want change and you really want to be better, you really, really, really just got to try new things. You got to open up your mind, and you got to hold yourself accountable. And, in the words of David Goggins, sometimes you may be miserable, but fuck that. Like being miserable means like, the way I look at it is, if you're comfortable, it means you're not growing. But if you're uncomfortable, it means you're growing. So that's the best way I look at it.
I love it. I love it. Anything else you want to, because we're going to finish at the end of this, we're going to finish up with we're going to set your goals for next episode. Is there anything else that we'd like to touch on? Is there anything else that we're maybe forgetting?
I do fit in this chair a lot better. That's for sure.
So let's talk about some of that stuff. Some of those obvious changes, right? That was one of the things. So the car, maybe sleeping, maybe the chair, whatever you want to talk about there. And the reason that this is important is when you first started, you're like, how fast can I change?
Right.
How fast can I see results? I'm one, if I don't see results fast enough, I fall off and I get disappointed, right?
For sure.
So not saying everybody's going to get results equally. Not everybody's built equally. Not everybody's going to work as hard as you've worked. Some people might work harder, but it's been 6 weeks and you have noticeable change. I've seen the before and after pictures. They're fantastic. What other things have you noticed in your day-to-day life? Clothing, seat, car, sleeping, whatever it is. Let's hear about some of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely my car. Like my stomach doesn't like come as close to my steering wheel anymore, which is just grateful. I used to be like a 5XL t-shirt. This is a 4X today that I wore, and like I was like, holy buckets! Like I'm really able to kind of put this stuff on again. Which if I want to touch on that, like I was just kind of a procrastinator. Like like I'll lose weight and I'll keep that. So. I guess low-key, I'm kind of glad I did keep it. But I think definitely too, my sleep is a lot better now that I'm in like a routine. I'm able to have more energy. I definitely like, I can see a resemblance or like a difference like when I look in the mirror. I can see like where I was at 482, where my stomach was, sticking out farther than my chest, like those kind of things. And now I see the difference. But I think for me, I'm just trying not to get too like comfortable and confident. So then I just stay where I'm at, I want to keep working and like, I want to just be ahead of the curve, every single day. Definitely, I don't, it sounds dumb, but I was, getting ready yesterday. And in the shower here at Grizzly, Watoma, like you have that black bench in the bathroom, and normally like I just stand to get dressed. Well, I was like, well, let's see if I can sit down and put my socks on, do this other stuff. And I was just so afraid that I was going to break it, but I mean, I didn't. So that was a good feeling. Like I don't really have the feeling of like, well, am I going to break this if I sit on it, kind of thing. I definitely think with me doing more cardio, I'm not as winded, and I don't get as frustrated. Like, I look at it like I used to be the kind of guy like, all right, we're going to park right here because the entrance is literally 10 steps. Now it's like, well, hey, I'm short 1,000 steps. Like, let's park a little bit away and we can get a walk in.
Yeah.
So just like those little things, are kind of starting to add up. And I noticed too, like with the weight loss of my stomach, like I'm not as hunched over anymore, which is a good feeling. I'm starting to actually feel like my height of 6'2", not like a 5'11" or like, just a 6 foot. So that's a good feeling, man.
It's awesome. It's all awesome stuff. And like I said, this is, I'm extremely happy to hear this stuff. Like I'm just sitting here smiling because I generally feel great about like hearing those things and those accomplishments. So super proud of you. I really am.
Sure. Appreciate that, brother.
And I don't want you to get comfortable. I'm not going to let you get comfortable. We're going to continue pushing through. We're going to, I told you we're going to be under 300 pounds and it's going to happen. I know one of our early on goals was like 350 by the wedding, but my kind of goal is like, see if we can crush it,
For real.
It is going to get tougher the lighter we get. It's not going to fall off as fast as it did this month, as it will next month, right? But you continue to work hard. You still increase things. Maybe we go from 10,000 steps to 10.5. Maybe we go to 11, right? Slow increases. Pushing yourself maybe a little bit. Every walk you do on the treadmill is 1 instead of 0 incline or something, So as long as we keep adding in those little incremental things, you're still going to lose weight fast, even at 400 pounds, it's just eventually once we're down to 350, it's not going to be 50 pounds in a month. It might be 50 pounds in 2 months or, you know what I mean? So, so that being said, let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the next 4-ish weeks. Let's talk about by the end of October. Today is the recording day is September 20th. So where do we want to be at by October 20th / the end of October, because we will do our next recording the last week or 2 of October.
Bro, I really think we can get to 400 pounds.
Yeah?
I really do.
400.
I want it. Like, I know I'm not putting my foot in my mouth, when I say this, but like I really want to get 400. Like if I can get 400 pounds, it's been a long time since I've seen myself under 400 pounds. So if I could do that in that short a span, like that'd be huge.
Yeah.
And I think that would just like, I'd be on a rocket with confidence after that. You know what I mean? Like I'd just be like, I look at 400 pounds, I'm like, fuck, I am 50 pounds away from where I said I wanted to be come May 2nd.
Yeah.
For my wedding.
Yeah.
And then I think, maybe potentially like, we can start looking at new goals to set.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not going to look at 350 anymore. Maybe it'll be 325 or 300 pounds.
Yeah.
So I definitely think let's do 400 pounds, bro.
400
let's
pounds.
do it. That's 30 pounds. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can do it. No
let's
problem.
Do 400 pounds by October 20th.
The day after my birthday.
Yeah. October 19th.
Yeah, man.
So for your 28th?
Yes, sir.
28th, we're going to be back under 400 pounds is the goal.
Bro.
So what other goals can we talk about? What other things? So we had a goal of walking a mile.
Yeah.
Let's go big. Like let's set something bigger. Like, and I don't doubt that you could walk 3 miles. Like if you set your mind to it, you could do 3 miles today. Like I don't doubt that. So let's think like outside the box. What can we do? One of the crazy things I said is once you're light enough, like why don't we set a stupid goal and like go hiking at Devil's Lake and see how that goes?
I love that.
We should maybe do it now to see how bad it sucks, and then maybe do it again when you're light and be like, holy shit, we'll just vlog the whole thing and then we'll have content.
Right.
But what other physical activity? I don't want to do strength stuff, but like what other, I don't know what you're doing every day, but what can we accomplish? Like this could be walking a mile at 15 incline in the treadmill or 10 incline, right? Like this could be a bitch of a walk like that.
Yeah.
This could be, I want to walk 5 miles without stopping.
Yeah.
In the month of October, right? Like I don't care. Let's just set something else to kind of push you a little bit further.
Yeah. I definitely say I think we should do a speed of like consistent of either like a 2.5 or like a 2.7 on the tread. And like not stopping, and then maybe like an incline of like a 1.5, a 2.5, and then see if I can get anything like at like 3.5 to 4 miles. Maybe like just say fucking like let's just push for that 5 miles and like let's just see if I can just walk that without stopping. Regardless if it's an incline or not. Maybe we could just put the speed at like a 2.5 to 2.7 and just walk 5 miles and see where I get.
So our goal is to be under 4.
Yeah.
And our goal is to do 5 miles in a row without stopping.
Yes, sir.
And that can be walking on the tread at 2.5 to 2.7, or that can be outside. I don't care.
Yeah.
We're going to do 5 miles. Depending on our schedules, I wouldn't be opposed to walking with you. Like
Sure.
I would love to have the opportunity to walk outside with you for 5 miles. I don't care. We could do it on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
We'll just link up somewhere. We go for a walk. If you don't, if you do it before, then great. But if at some point we get towards the end of this goal, if we got to go for a walk, we got to go for a walk. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So we're going to walk 5 miles. We're going to be under 400 pounds. Is there anything diet-wise, not calorie-wise, but anything we want to talk about, like on the diet end of things? Anything that you want to like tighten up even more, or maybe like another habit you want to work on for the next 4 weeks? We've got our no snoozing, which I think we should carry that.
Absolutely.
But is there any other one-offs? Or maybe a book goal. Do you want to set like a?
Yeah. How about we do a book goal? How about like I read 2 books a month?
Yeah.
How about that? You think that's fair?
Where are you at? So you've read 2 David. Are you reading another one right now?
Yeah.
Another book?
Yep.
Are you almost done with this one that you're reading
Yeah,
now?
I got about 40-ish pages left.
Okay, so we're going to read another 2 books by October 20th.
Yeah.
So that one doesn't count.
Mm-hmm.
So you will have read 5 books then by October 20th since you've started this new journey.
Yep.
Which is 5 more than you've read since Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Well, I mean, to all the teachers that I may have on social media or that are listening, I just want you to know, like, the last actual book I read other than Diary of a Wimpy Kid was The Outsiders in 8th grade. And that was read to me. So Spark Notes throughout high school, I really appreciate it. But, I got my diploma. So here we are.
Fair enough. So 2 books, 5-mile walk, and under 400 pounds.
Yes,
I think
sir.
we focus on those 3 things. We've got a good weight goal. We've got a good like general fitness goal, which kind of proves how healthy you are getting.
Yeah.
And then we've got an education goal, which I think is something we should always be working on. So
For sure. I also want to make a point. My fiance Carly does have Kindle Unlimited. I do read that, but also I have been buying paperback books because I definitely just think elimination of screen time does help.
What feels good too is that trophy.
Yeah, man.
Like, you're looking for a why. You're looking for a reason to compete.
Right.
Sports, as a kid, you always got trophies for winning or whatever, or medals.
Yeah.
You finish a book, you get to put it on your shelf. And be like, I read that book.
Yeah.
Some people like to resell them and give them to people, or borrow them to people. I don't like giving my books away. I want a shelf full of books. I want to be like, look what I've read.
Yeah.
Because it's just like it's more of a trophy aspect. But so
I definitely think too, it's a great way for my fiance Carly and I to spend more time together. I'm not gonna say we're gonna go to Starbucks and open our laptops and be authors, right? But she reads like crazy, like she reads multiple books. I know she has like some kind of like app tracker of how many books she's read. I know it's over 50 within a year, so she reads a lot of fucking books.
Yeah.
So I probably won't take her on recommendations for books to read because I don't really want to read intimate love stories or stuff like that. But I picked up like the let them theory and then like the body keeps count, like those kind of things. I definitely think, me personally, I think like just like inspiration stories, like you said, like a David Goggins, where just somebody who talks about like mental health and these kind of things. And a lot of people like see these people who are authors, celebrities, whatever it is, but then like when you really start to read about them and realize like they didn't have a silver spoon growing up, or like they didn't, they came from nothing, or sometimes like they were abused, or had this kind of disfigurement, or whatever, like something held them down, and then now they're living proof of where they are today. So I think that's a lot of things that people don't see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What is there anything else before we wrap up that you'd like to share with the audience?
Who just I have had some people reach out to me, give me like obviously like congratulations and like support and stuff like that. First off, I just want to say thank you. Everybody has their own story, and I think if you can just set weekly goals, whether it's, hey, no fast food this week, or only 1 soda with dinner, this week instead of 3 a day, like just set small goals, man, and like just push yourself a little bit to see what you can do, whether it's walk outside versus on the tread, just something, push yourself a little bit, be a competitor with yourself, and you don't have to start big, like you can just start somewhere, because everybody's journey is different, and I'm just really grateful for everybody that's been supporting me, obviously grateful for you, having this podcast and me being able to pick your brain all hours of the day. I'm real grateful for. So thank you. And work, this hard work, like it sucks. And it's not all rainbows and unicorns. Like there's been times where I'm like, I already just want to fold and, like I just don't want to do this shit. But, now that I have like, I don't want to say a following, but also just like, people like tuning in and people like, how's this going, blah, blah, blah. Like, not only can I let myself down, but I don't want to let them down either, So I gotta just keep going, man. Doesn't matter if I'm sore or not, I want to be just working every single day. I want to make myself 1% better every single day.
1% better.
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking of something, and this is the first time I'm telling you, so first time anybody listening. And don't hold me accountable to this. This is just something I'm thinking of, but I really want to create a community of some sort of this living the Grizzly life.
Yeah.
And that's what I call it, because that's how I feel like I coach it. Sure. And I think you're a great representation of that. And Brandon Peters, the other guy that I had on this podcast prior to you, he's got a great story as well. I think he's another great example. And you guys are both part of my gym community already.
Yeah.
And so I want to create, and I think you'll really enjoy it, and it'll hold you even more accountable, some kind of community that's kind of like not necessarily an invite only, but getting like-minded individuals or people who need to be in that group, that inner circle that I always talk about, getting the people who are like you, but not where you are right now. Like Holden 12 weeks ago, 24 weeks ago, right?
Right. They're starting their journey,
Yeah, or they need the extra push to get there. I mean,
right.
So I want to create some kind of community, and I want you and Brandon to be like a direct reflection of like a Grizzly representative, the Grizzly Life way, like basically like sub-coaches of the Grizzly Life, right? Like I'm over here, I'm going to be on this podcast 2 days a week, every week, and I'm going to continue doing this. And then having people like you in my corner on my team that are also spreading the same word, the same love for it, the same passion for it, and living proof of it, So
Absolutely.
Something that I'm thinking of. I don't know how I'm going to go about it yet, but it's something that's been pondering, kind of like almost like if we're sponsoring you, you know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Sure.
So thinking about that. But before we go, do you want to give any socials out? You want anybody to follow you on anything? Or
you can add me on Facebook, Holden Smith, or my Instagram is Holden_1019. Definitely, I'd appreciate your motivation, encouragement, kind words, whatever, for my journey. So if you'd like to follow me, go ahead. If not, hopefully maybe next time I'll be able to get you to follow. So
cool. I'm not going to throw my socials out there because this is Holden's episode. So this is the Grizzly Life Podcast. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We do ask that if you're tuning in for Holden's episode and just Holden's episode, give us a try in our other episodes as well. If you know somebody else that's like in Holden's shoes, or somebody else that's like in that journey, or maybe has done that journey, share these episodes with those individuals, and reach out to us too. If there's other people just like Holden that have done amazing things, like we're looking for people to interview up that same alley. We want people to hear different perspectives. We want people to hear different challenges. So we do ask, that you share the show, help us get the word out, help us get more people involved in this movement, this way of living, and go be 1% better today. And we appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks, Colton.